Welcome to the Indie Author Spotlight, where we interview indie authors about upcoming releases as well as life as an author, presented to you by Books, Brews, and Dogs. You can visit booksbrewsanddogs.com, purchase a blind date with a book, and support animal rescue efforts. Books, Brews, and Dogs is where you can buy a book and save a dog or a cat.
Hi, everybody. We're here for the Indie Author Spotlight with Sienna Gypsy in Australia. I've always wanted to visit Australia too. So,
The summer or the spring.
good to know. So we're here with Sienna. You have a book coming out
I
soon,
do. I
and
haven't got a date yet though, but it's very soon.
yeah, and something I say every single time. I am horrible with names. I have read the first book in the series. It's a 3-book series. So I read the full of the first book, and I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, Torture to Bliss.
The name of characters, because I'm bad. Yes, that's it. So I was trying to get to my Kindle app to remember. Yeah. So Torture to Bliss, and so that's the first one in the series, and that's where you meet the main character
Yes.
and
Drew and Stasia.
Stasia. Yeah. And it's a biker club book,
Yes.
and it it's got a slight start of enemies to lovers. But not really, because they weren't ever really enemies. She just was very standoffish. But she's so standoffish that you kind of get the enemies to lover. And then as you get, when you realize like the prologue and then meeting this guy, you realize, you know why she's standoffish and why she's so closed off to everything.
Mm.
But it really becomes like a journey of her opening up and learning to feel safe, even though there's all kinds of crazy things that continue to happen to her throughout. Because like through the whole book, she's a very wanted woman.
Is the very unwanted in herself.
Yeah. And some people want her because they just need to feel like they have control, and other people want her because they love her. And so there's there's a lot of kind of self
Mm.
growth. I feel like I said that wrong the first time, but I'm not sure now that I'm reading. Words are hard.
Yeah.
And things are crazy. So, as we talked a little bit before we started the recording, I'm in my grandma's old bedroom. Well, she's in a hospital bed in the front room, and it's been a lot of chaos.
Mm.
I was supposed to have a month to move, and then I had a week before I needed to be here, and it's just been yeah. So I'm glad that I was able to make this work today. I'm glad we were able to get the time thing figured out, because my brain was not functioning trying to schedule this interview.
And the day thing, it's a big thing. Like people forget in America that like we're like a day ahead of you guys.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yes, and so I was very confused for a while. I did finally get a little bit of sleep, so that helped.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so Stacia is a really fun character, and I love how you also included her friend that she works with, and they become really close. But her friend has a daughter who is disabled.
Yes.
And so you kind of bring that in a little bit, and you make a point to, accommodate and make others accommodate with her disability. And so what was your inspiration for that?
My daughter.
Okay.
So little Keita is my daughter reincarnated, I suppose. There's a lot behind her that I don't know. I felt it made it real. And I could write it because I live it. So it was something that was really quite dear to my heart. I wanted people to be able to experience the good growth and the unfortunate growth that I go through every day.
Yeah. Because you do talk a little bit about how she struggles with making friends in school and has a hard time getting close to people and is very careful with who she gets along with. And then of course you have these big burly biker guys that come in and she's just immediately in love with them. So
Yeah, that comes from our family background. So like my husband's Samoan and they're all big fellas that are around her all the time. Even my boys, they're like 30 and 29. The boys are 15 months apart. But she's not fearful of big, broody people. And I wanted Keita to sort of have the same feel. So she can feel energy more than and body language, even though that they might be broody and look serious all the time or look brutal. She sees through that. And I wanted Keita to be able to see through that as well and show that there's trust is learnt differently. It's learnt by energy and what she sees happens around her. And that's what I wanted to portray with her.
yeah.
You'll see more of her in book 2. So, because that is her
Oh,
story.
yeah. I was gonna get to that. So, and it's interesting because you say she feels the energy and the good energy, but these biker boys are not law-abiding citizens. They might
No.
be good people, but they're definitely morally gray.
Yeah. Yes,
And
that's my whole family. I always say when people go to me, "Oh, so what are your books about?" I always say to them, "My life on steroids."
yeah,
So we're married to a Samoan, and we've been married for 20 or 30. How old's my son? 30 years. Um, I've been through some very morally grey areas, is what I'll say.
yeah. I think to a degree, and it's varying degrees always. What are you doing? He
He's
usually
agreed with
doesn't
me.
talk. He usually, I think maybe as he's getting older, he'll be 4 in January,
Oh,
and he's
beautiful.
starting to talk a little bit more, but it's so rare to actually hear him make husky noises. I would always tell him he's my broken husky. Um,
He
but
is gorgeous. He's so gorgeous.
thank you. He knows it. He knows it too. Um, so, but we all to varying degrees deal with some kind of morally gray something at some point in our lives. And I think that that's a big part of what draws us to those characters is it kind of lets us bring that shadow of ourselves out and not feel so ashamed of it or so bad about it when we're reading the books because we all have the friend that maybe stole something that we didn't say anything about, or we have we all cheated on a test, and those are very very minor ones, but there's definitely a lot bigger things. um you know uh I definitely drove a car when I wasn't licensed to go pick up my drunk grandfather at one point in time, and so in some ways I was being benevolent by getting my drunk grandfather while I was 14, unlicensed, um, driving his truck to go pick him up so that he didn't drive drunk. But I was also definitely breaking the law at that point in time. And so, there's kind of like, there's always these situations where you're like, well, which is worse?
Yep.
You know,
Yep. I must admit, I do have a hell of a lot of those situations. When you're talking about you picking up your grandmother, I was a very young mother, and I would be out at nightclubs. The boys were old enough to be at home on their own, and they'd look after their sister. And I'd be out at a nightclub because I'd drunk at home with a girlfriend, and we decided, let's go. And the nightclub's only down the road. And I remember ringing up my son who only had a moped. And I'm like, come get me. And he's like, Mum. And I'm like, come and get me. So yes, we've had some fun. I've definitely had a colourful life.
So, so I love, and I feel like that is becoming more prevalent, like the morally, my goodness. Hi, buddy.
Hello, gorgeous. Look at you.
Here, lay down. He's like, I was laying down. Are you on up? Murphy, up. Seeing if I could get the other one up there, but I'm loving that, the morally gray is becoming a bit more prevalent, because it's allowing us to kind of, I feel like it allows us to speak to that shadow side a little bit more.
Yeah.
Lay down. All the way. There you go. You'll get one too. Can we get his nose in there at least?
Yeah, he's gorgeous. He's grey as well. Looks gorgeous.
Yeah, he's a gray pitty.
Very good. And they're called blue, aren't they? The grey ones?
They're called blue. So, but I've been really loving that aspect of like the morally gray and it becoming, not that you necessarily want to be dating the morally gray person all the time, but it allows us to kind of see the things we've done in our past or have had to deal with and go, sometimes that's just how things are, and connect on that. And I think that's part of why it's become so prevalent too, and why people are feeling so.
I also think it's a great way to realize, so many people jump and judge because somebody's done something wrong. No one ever looks at the reasons behind why. Like, is there a reason behind that it couldn't have been any other way, that it had to have been that way? It doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means that they had to follow this line of thought, like, or this line of reasoning. I've learned, 15 years ago, I was the right and wrong person, where now I sort of sit in my center and listen to both sides of stories to go, you know what, now I've listened, there wasn't any other path for you. You had to do it this way to come out where you are now. So I try to take that into my writing as well. So you can see the depth of how far somebody will go for somebody and the reasons why behind it.
Leave the treat jar alone. You already got some. All done. All done. Some of their commands are also accompanied with sign language.
Saw that.
Like when I ask them if they want dinner, I'm always, you want dinner?
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't say that right now. It's right about that time. It's going to be a little late today.
Yeah.
But, I love how much of your life and your experience you're bringing into your book. With just how the characters interact or things like that. I'm really hoping you weren't Stacia at one point, because that girl, oh, that poor woman. The things
I have been told I make memorable moments, but I'm not as bad as Stacia.
Yeah. So what was it? So we haven't actually talked about what happens to Stacia. It's just that she kind of goes through hell several times. So
Yes.
in book 1, you have Stacia, and you do the prologue where you kind of explain what she's going through, and then you jump into her being out of that. Like
Yeah,
you have her get rescued, and then you jump into her being out of that as the start of the actual story.
yeah,
So in the prologue, she was rescued by a biker club from her dad who was using her. I'm I can't remember if I can actually say this or not.
yeah.
And
She was
have
in an abusive life, so I think that's the best way to put it. Like he wasn't a stable man,
Yeah,
and his morals were dark.
yeah. He definitely abused her in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So I can't remember if I can say the words or not and not get in trouble.
Yeah.
I'm
Leave
gonna
it for mystery. Let's leave it for mystery.
yeah. Um,
But
so
it's something that she definitely needed help to be getting out of, and it's not something that no kid should ever go through. But it's good that she was saved, even if it was from some morally grey people.
yeah. And when you start the story off, she meets her love interest right away. Really early on. It's pretty
Yeah.
early on.
In the first, yeah, I think it's the first chapter. She does meet her love interest, but the prologue's years before that. So yeah,
Yeah, because it jumps 6 years,
yeah.
I think, from when she was rescued to Murphy. If I'm shaking everybody, it's because the kennel is right next to the computer desk. It's all a little bit makeshift at the moment. And Murphy is literally rolling in circles in his kennel.
Oh my
So
gosh.
I apologize for the motion sickness. Um, it- you're not paying attention to me, Mom. You're not paying attention to me.
I'm glad somebody else is awake, so they're not coming into me.
So we have a meet pretty early on, and she's klutzy, so she basically gets run over by her love interest.
She does.
And I thought that was such a unique way of having them meet because it's usually like they meet in a bar, but they don't realize that they were at the bar at the same time or standing next to each other, or you know they ran into each other at a coffee shop, or there's or they work together. This is complete 100% her chance. She was happened to be on her way to work that day at that time. He's never driven that road before, or like he was on it randomly for some reason. And
Yeah.
I think you even made a point to be like, someone was like, why were you even over there? And he's like, this one thing out of the blue had to, there was like a cop or something and he was avoiding it, or it was something he was avoiding, which was the only reason he took that route that day. And
Yeah.
so it was like meeting of the fates, but completely by chance,
Yeah.
runs this woman over because she just wasn't paying attention. And he's trying to be nice about it, and she's a total dick to him the whole time. And he's like, you're the one who ran into the street. Like you ran into me.
She's like, just get away. I'm fine. Get away.
Yeah. And so it's I loved that meeting. It was hilarious. It made me laugh. It was great. And then as he gets to know her a little bit and comes back to check on her, and is she's still kind of ornery and everything, and he gets to know her a little bit, and he's like, something happened to you. Like he can tell that there's trauma.
Mm.
And he's very aware of that. And he's trying to get what he wants out of her, and which is for her to open up and to want to be with him, but he's also kind of like, I want you to tell me things, but you're not telling me. And he's super overprotective, which is kind of what she needed in order to feel safe.
Yeah.
If I had a guy that was that overprotective of me, I'd probably be in jail. I'd be like, get away from me, or I'm gonna hurt you. Um, but I like the idea of it. Like I love the idea of the overprotective
Mm.
lover in a book. But
Yeah.
like I didn't even change my name when I got married, and why aren't you changing your name? He doesn't own me.
Yes.
So
It's funny. We love it in a book, but in reality, we'd
yeah,
probably shoot someone.
in a book, it's great. Give it to me all day long. In a
Yeah.
outside of that, keep it away. You
Yeah.
can stay over there. I'm not okay with that.
Don't touch me today.
But he's a really interesting character too.
Yeah.
Um because he is essentially written as if, you know, the looks and stature and authority of like, higher up in the biker club, the looks and stature of any Playboy model type thing, maybe a little sturdier than that. But, you know, and all these girls fawning over him, and he's just like, you guys are annoying, which is of course why he likes the one who doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Because he can't get enough of her because she's like, get away from me, and every other girl's always been like, no, and he's like literally telling them, go away. I don't like,
They're chasing
I
they're
don't,
chasing the height of him, not the person. Where he's looking for something normal.
yeah. And it goes into, he wants something more because his dad had something more, and his dad. And so, and then you get to the point too towards the end of the book where he has the what the F moment with his dad because his mom's had been gone for a while. She passed away a while ago. And
Yeah.
he's like, I always figured dad did, but it never came around. But like, what the F? Why her? Like, because it's someone he knows. And he's like, what? And you just have that moment where you have him do the freak out of, I don't know what to say or think about this. Um, so there's just a lot of fun real life moments that
Yeah.
happen that you bring into your book. And I can't wait until I have time to read the next book. Um, I had I really wish I wasn't having to read it on my phone right now because I managed to actually pack the tablet
Yep.
and put it in storage. So I don't know when I'm gonna get that back. So I'm reading books on my phone. So
Yep.
it feels like it takes forever.
I've just found the on Kindle. I found there's a part in there that's it's got a help reader, so it reads to you while you're reading.
So I heard you talk about
Adaptive.
in one
Yeah.
of the other in that chapters chat that we did, you
Yes,
talked about that a little bit. And I went looking for it, and I don't know if it's on the phone app.
it is. I've got mine on the phone. So what you would do is you
We're
go
all going to
into
get a lesson on how to get to this here.
yes, I feel it's very needed. So what you do is you go to okay, so that's there. Oh my gosh, my stuff has
No, and
decided
it's
to
going
move
to be
around.
super handy with all the stuff I have to do to take care of my grandma and get this house situated and like um
So if you can see in here, if you go to, you know how you can change the letters.
Uh-huh.
the size of the letters and that. There's a more button. So you press the more, and in the more, you've got the assistive reader. You put that on.
I love it. Thank you. I
You're
have
welcome.
never gone, I didn't even think of hitting the letters to
Yeah,
get.
neither did I until I sort of just played around a bit and then I saw more and I found it because someone had said it was in there and I was like, I need to find it because I need it because I have dyslexia and I also have an auditory processing disorder. So to read, it takes me forever to read something because I forget the first sentence. But if I listen to it and read it, I retain it. So it's something that I need a lot of. So I found it and I was loving it. And it's great for people that are that are losing their sight or that struggle with reading. It's something that I encourage every time I go to a book event now. I go, give me your Kindle here, I'll set it up for you because it's brilliant.
Sorry, I'm trying to angle this down. I don't know if we can see him. I had to turn the overhead light off because it created a glare, but he's just rolling around on everything, rubbing into everything. I'll just try to show people when they do stuff like that because I think it's cute and maybe
Yeah,
somebody else will.
yeah, I think it's very cute.
So yeah, no, all of that stuff is really important. And you, of course, probably have an extra understanding because as we talked about it a little bit earlier, your daughter with disability, and then our previous conversation, you also mentioned you work on top of your daughter with a disability, you work in the disability community. And so having that understanding of like the accessibility for things. And then of course, dyslexia is considered a disability as well. And
Yes.
so like those things make things so accessible. And I'm over here going, I need it so that while I'm cleaning my grandma's house, I can still read. Um,
Yeah, and it's so good. So, like as an audio book, it acts like that. So if the screen turns off, it still plays and you can press play.
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a thing, and it's not really a disability, at least as far as I know, it's not considered one, but it is like a interesting thing. And a lot of people have it. I forget, it's some kind of auditory processing disorder, and it's weird. So me and you having this conversation, I can understand it, I comprehend it, I know what we're talking about. It's fine. But if I am watching TV, a movie or a TV show, if the subtitles are not on, I have no idea what is happening.
Yeah.
My goodness. Um, I have to have the subtitle or I have no idea what they're saying. And for the longest time, my husband just turn the volume up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
doesn't help. It's not, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter. It's
No,
something about I cannot retain anything that was said if the subtitles aren't on.
I'm the same in meetings, like in my day job. I've got to sort of sit through some meetings, and if I don't record the meeting and get it subtitled afterwards, I always put subscribe on because it helps me retain what's going on. I can, like, if I've subscribed it and I read about it, I remember it that way. But if you ask me to remember it by asking me a question, I can't remember it. The other thing I struggle with is somebody asks me a question and I'm unsure of what you mean. Like, because when I'm ever asked a question, my brain just decides to freeze and I can't answer you very well. But most of, like, if it's something that I've prepared myself for and I've ran through lots of different scenarios, I'm fine. If I have not done that, I'm like a duck in water and I'll go, could you rephrase that? Could you ask me another way?
I do that too. There will be a topic I know so much about that I've studied in depth, that I know really well. But if you ask me a direct question unexpectedly, I'm um uh, um
Yeah,
um uh
it's me. Yeah, we're very similar. Yes.
yeah. So I understand that feeling. Um so how, as a writer, if you want to talk about it, if you want to talk about it as a writer, how do you feel your dyslexia affects your writing? Because you write an amazing story and it was congruent and everything works. And I don't know exactly how dyslexia works per se, but I know that it makes it hard to comprehend things and to read things.
Mm.
So how, when you're going back through and editing your writing, like, how does your dyslexia affect that, and how do you work around that?
I use Mac, so I can highlight and let it read to me. So same with anything that can read to me helps me. So I when I write, um my fingers don't write as fast as my brain works. So I miss a lot of words. The first edit, nobody comprehends, not even me sometimes. So I do a lot of what I've had to do now is like from my first book right up to the book that I'm writing this second. I used to wait till I finished the book to edit, but my brain runs from the story so fast I can't keep up. So now I sort of try and write the first chapter, go back and make it make sense. So I put it through Pro Writing Aid,
Mm-hmm.
um, where it picks up sentences that don't make sense. Then I can re-look at those sentences while the story is still quite fresh and go, oh, I was supposed to say this, and I can fix it. So that way, when I go back through the actual proper first edit, I'm not going to get lost in the first edit, because trust me, when I did this one, I was very lost. Very lost. I have a great developmental editor, and she is understands my disabilities, and she highlights things in color for me. So she does it in red if it doesn't need to be there, in blue if it doesn't make sense, and puts some notes there where she sees continuancies in other areas to say, go down to this page and see if this reminds you of what maybe happened here when she's gone through it. So she color codes everything for me, so I have a better understanding of fixing things. Um, I also utilize the read out loud. So on my laptop, that helps me understand. I can go through and I can fix it. So I use a lot of dictation now as well as read out loud for me to keep up with what I'm writing, sort of thing.
That's amazing. You know, that you're able to, you have found those tools and that you were able to find an editor that can work with your disability. I love the color coding. I feel like even without the dyslexia, that would just be handy to have it
Yeah.
color coded.
I
You know,
had I did an anthology with the group of and they were beautiful ladies. Like it was a great thing. And then I was working off a Google Docs thing, and everybody was changing stuff on there, like because it was a very raw version of the first part of the book, and they're wiping out stuff and putting their comments. My brain did not cope with that. Like I just couldn't comprehend where they were coming from. I was like, yeah, it broke my brain, but I figured it out. So I went to back to my developmental editor, and she broke it up for me to rewrite it the way it needed to what they were stating, and then it was like so much better. Now I make sense and I can fix it. And then the girl that was doing the editing through the anthology was like, oh wow, this is like so much better that you've re-put it. And I said, yeah, the first version I gave you was very basic and very raw. I said, but now that you guys put your bits in, I've took it to my editor and she's made it make sense to me, and now I've pulled it out. So she said it's a huge difference, but it was great. So it was definitely a learning process for me. That was the biggest learning process for me. And they taught me some things, even though they probably think they didn't. They actually taught me some things, because there was steps I missed through my own books writing. I can hear.
the other one is starting to go off now.
Yeah,
He's
so there was
like a bookie.
yeah. There were steps in my own writing that I didn't know to do because I'm a new author. So they taught me that, so which was great. So it was cool.
Good boy. Sorry. It's
No, you're fine.
um they're usually not this involved in the interviews. Usually when I was in Texas still and we had the office, they would sit behind me and they'd hang out and they'd almost never be visible. And today they have just decided we
We're
need
on camera.
attention. They've ignored me all day.
Yeah.
They ignored me all day as soon as
Yeah.
I sat down to do this. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love I love that you've been able to work through that because you have such an amazing story and I can't wait to learn more because the way that this one ends, Stacia gets saved and it's not exactly the end of her story. I'm sure we're going to learn more and there's continued growth there, but it kind of you know, puts her story, ends it in the middle a little bit, and preludes to the start of a completely new story where we're about to start Kata and her mom's story. And we're about to get that story. And we've already met Kata's mom's lover, and I'm trying so hard to remember Kata's mom's name.
Bullet. Oh, Sophie.
Sophie. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bullet is the lover.
Yes.
And
He's a very strong, different sort of lover. Yes.
yeah. And I'm very excited to learn more about them. So now that I have the reader, this is going to be so much easier because while I'm out there taking care of grandma, I can have my headphone in and
Um,
so, but beautiful, beautiful stories. So I haven't had, we need to talk about book 3 because that's the book that's coming out.
book 3's out now, like it came
it's
out.
now. It already came out.
Yeah, so book 3's out now, and I'm working on book 4 that'll be coming out in a couple of months.
Okay. So
yeah,
fire and ice. Okay. See, my brain is all over the place right now. Becoming a caregiver unexpectedly out of nowhere a month ago just or I guess technically I got here about 2 weeks ago is oh man, 2 weeks and all the things I have to suddenly do and figure out and the paperwork is going to bury me alive.
yeah.
But and I was already scatterbrained of a little bit anyways, just trying to run my own business. Now I got this. So putting up with me is probably going to be a little bit hard. But we'll get through it. I'll get through it. I'll find my feet at some point.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
3 already, because I've been sitting here this whole time thinking book 3 was coming out at the end of the month for some reason.
Yeah, it came out in end of May.
And oh my God.
Yeah, it was
So
out
that makes me wonder who else on the schedule I'm thinking of.
That could have a new one, yeah.
I could have one coming out this month that I'm getting it confused with. I'm gonna tell myself that's what I did. I just mixed up which author's book is coming out which month. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so you have book 4 coming out in about a month.
Yeah, I reckon maybe 2 months because I'm trying not to put a date on it.
Okay.
Because I put dates on these ones and I did mad rush at the very, very end. So I'm trying not to put a date on it just yet until I've got it through betas and through my line editor. Once I get my line editor in, I'll be putting the date on straight away because then I know that I can rush the end and put it up. But the most exciting thing about book 4 is that I have my first photo shoot for the model to go on it, and I have the model, and the model is actually my nephew.
Oh, that's fun. I'm getting yelled at. So if I'm laughing at inappropriate times, I'm laughing at this one back here yelling at me. Um,
He's wanting
so,
your attention.
well, the treat jar got brought in here, and they're like, "Mom, we need more of that. Mom, we need more of that." So, anyways, I love you guys. I'm busy. I gotta work. It's only an hour, maybe an hour and a half. So, so you're getting the photo shoot for the model for the fourth book. I
Yeah.
cannot wait to see this cover and see it come out. And I'm so excited to get into book 2 and learn more about Sophie and Kata and see their journey with Bullet, because their journey with Bullet kind of starts. You know,
Yes.
Sophie's reluctant, but the journey with Bullet kind of starts. And I love how you wound up tying Sophie's background into Stacia's background, even though they didn't meet until long after
Yeah.
everything came together.
Yeah.
And so it kind of completes this world and makes it very full circle that they were going to meet one way or another eventually.
Yeah.
And but it's such an intriguing world, and it does take place in Australia, so it's contemporary.
Yes.
Um, but like the world of these characters is so intriguing and interesting. And I will say, I knew as the only character that I knew was involved was, I think, Stud or Stub or something is what he was
Yeah.
called.
Yeah. Yes.
And second he grabbed her, I was like, that's gonna be a problem, and that's gonna tie back to something from the prologue. But that was the only hint that you get,
Yeah.
or at least that I noticed.
Yes. But there's a
Something
few good,
is
there's a
happening.
few twists. There are a few good twists in there where I've had messages from readers going, I did not see that coming.
Yeah. Um, Drew's dad at the end
Yes.
and how that works out threw me for a loop. He's another reason I need to get to book 2 and 3, because there some shit's gonna go down one way or another. It's gonna go down, and what is gonna happen? How is this gonna go? Because like you said, you threw some twists and turns in there, and then you threw that one in there, and so what twist and turn are we getting thrown with this again? Like,
You get more, I think in book 2, there's a lot more answers to book 1, like there's the aha moments. But then there's a war in book 3, a beginning of a war.
so this is all the prelude to
The big picture of what's going on with the girls, and then you find out later that it's the I suppose you could say it's like a trafficking ring, and
yeah.
they get pulled into this. So, and it's way bigger than they thought.
Uh, kind of like some files that have gone missing lately, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't help it. I had to. So on to different things.
Yes.
I am so excited for these books. What other projects have you done?
I have done as I said before, an anthology, and that was a paranormal. So it was a rewriting of Beauty and the Beast in my way of, but making, instead of being a beast, it was wolves. So um, I have done that. And I'm in the middle of being asked to do another anthology for a book signing that I'm doing in next year in, when is it? I can't remember. I think it's in middle of next year, but it's got to be ready in April. So it's only got to be 20,000 words. So I've already sort of planned it out a little bit. It's sort of come to me like a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I've already named the title, which is Queen of Smoke. And she's the top dog. So it'll be interesting to learn her story. So I've planned out a little bit about it. I've just got to elaborate. And I'm never somebody who plans. This is new for me. I'm a pantser. I can't tell you the end of any story that I write, and I don't know it until I'm about three-quarters of the way through, and then all of a sudden it just goes, and I'm done. Um, where I've never actually had a vision of, oh, this could happen, oh, this is going to sit here and she's going to have this. And I've written this down for the first time and I've gone, oh, this is coming into play. So it's nice.
I'm getting puppy dog eyes at the moment.
I can see. I can only see the snout, but I can see.
Yeah. So, so the Beauty and the Beast anthology, I did an interview with another author earlier, Jonna D, and she had some really fun books that she did, and she had a really nice half fae, half vampire book that was a lot of fun to read. So far, I've only got, with all the indie authors I've done, I've only gotten to read 2 fantasy books.
Yeah.
Which is like my favorite thing to read. So I'm starting to enjoy the contemporary a lot more than I thought I would.
Mm. I think you're either a reader that reads contemporary as a palate cleanser, or you're a reader that reads fantasy as a palate cleanser. Like it's one or the other. Like if I'm when I'm writing what I've realized as a writer, if I'm writing biker, I can't go into a mafia biker, even small town world. I can't do it because it's the same sort of hero concept. I can read fantasy when I'm writing my biker. Because if I actually read anything like that, I actually won't write for 2 months. Like it actually puts a dead stop on what I'm doing and I can't go back into what I'm writing. So I've learned that. So I will read the opposite to what I'm trying to write. So
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, so I probably normally used contemporary as the palette cleanser. Because I read contemporary just not very often. And I'm starting to enjoy it a lot more. And this is the second biker one that I've read because I read Gigi. I know you and her have
oh yes,
your
yeah,
things you do on Instagram live on Mondays.
yes,
You're
and we
writing.
do. Yeah, writing sprints. We do Instagram live on Mondays. We do Substack on Wednesdays because we're both on Substack. And then we do TikTok on Fridays, which is really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then, so I know you guys do that. I've watched that a few times. You guys are a lot of fun to watch. Both of you have been amazing to talk to. You were both on chapter chats with me, which I would love to get that going again. It's
That was a ball. I love being on that. That was great.
Yeah, and it was, I will get it up again. But I just got this started and then life hit and things are crazy and
You'll
I
find
will
your
pull
feet.
through. So far, I have not missed a single author interview. Even with all the crazy going on and moving halfway across country, I didn't have to postpone or anything. So things are settling in, even though it doesn't always feel like it.
Yeah.
So, but back to Jonna D. She's got that really fun, interesting fantasy, and I really enjoyed it. And she had her 3rd book in that series coming out. So, I love all of you guys, but stop writing series. I can't keep up.
I can't. It's funny. When I wrote Torture to Bliss, I originally wrote it and it was really quite dark. And I had it on Wattpad. And I was never gonna release it. And especially that first prelude, which was my first chapter, it was really quite dark. And then I had so many people say to me, "This is like, you need to publish it," and I was just like, "No, I can't publish it." And they're like, "Yes, you need to publish it." And then I was like, maybe. And then I got the guts to sort of do it. And then not even my husband knew that I wrote, or my children or anybody had known. I think my husband thought I was up because I wrote it all on my phone. I didn't even have a laptop. I was on my phone writing it. So he just thought I was on the phone all the time. I'm getting a bit confused why. And then I showed him the story and he was just like, "Whoa, you did this." So yeah, so then I decided to put it up on my own. There was a lot of, with my disabilities, as I've spoken about, there was a lot of problems with it. Well, not just editing didn't get done. I didn't have the money to edit it. And I was, yeah. So I did end up taking that one down because it was called Unchained. I still have the original up here. It was called Unchained, and I met my developmental editor, Jess, and I sent it to her and we worked together on it to sort of make it more, I suppose, well, readable, but also the story that it is today, which is really, really cool.
Nice. So I've been trying this whole time. I've also been trying to ask you about your Beauty and the Beast anthology,
Yeah,
which is why I brought up Jonna D.
yeah,
It's so easy to go off on tangents.
yes.
So she is doing a Beauty and the Beast anthology that it's different people from around. There's several different authors doing it, and they all do. Oh, we lost my camera.
Yes, what happened?
I don't know. There we go.
Oh, there you go. You're back.
I don't that I must have knocked a cord or something, or cord must have knocked. Okay. So she did she's part of that. They're each their own individual book, so it's not exactly an anthology because I think they're releasing them at different times, like in sequences. So 1 month and then the next month and that month. But each author has to do a story of a retelling of Beauty and the Beast from somewhere around the world that uses a different beast from that region that they were.
Yep.
And so is yours different from that, or are you part of that?
Definitely a different story. It's got the same outsider story of where they were cursed. He had to find his true love to come out of the curse. That part stayed, but the rest is different.
Okay.
It's
So
definitely an out story of someone wanting to kill them, but it's more of a witch.
okay. But you're not part of that author group that's doing.
No. I did. Mine was called Reloaded Tales. I think it was called Reloaded Tales, or Reloaded Fairy Tales or something. And that's sort of how we did it. It was from the baby author group. So the group that was in that author chat was, I'm pretty sure, probably most of them were in this whole fairy tale rewrite.
Yeah, so I've done an interview for Lauren and then Grace Weiss, and I have a couple of other interviews lined up for an anthology that Lauren was a part of. And so I have a lot of the authors for that anthology lined up that I'll get to meet. And so
some of those might be in their last anthology, because I know they're doing another anthology that I had too much on to sort of put my hand up to get involved with. But I think it's a Why Choose anthology. And I don't sort of like, I'm not at that stage of writing that sort of, my books are probably a 2 chili pepper, I reckon, maybe 3, but not further than that. The stories, I don't know. I've been told my stories are a stronger suit to the romance. There's definitely romance in there, and it's quite strong, the romance, but it's not as four pepper, five pepper, is what I've been told.
Yeah, I would agree. You're like a two, maybe a three. There's some description in there, but it's not big, and it's not a page long
Yeah,
of the romance. It's like one or two paragraphs with some description
yeah.
in there that does give it some spice. Like I definitely wouldn't have a teenager read it,
No, no.
um, but it's also you know like if you're not it's a great story if you're not that comfortable with the super spicy, but
Yeah.
you maybe want to delve into it or kind of see what it's about. Like yours is like that perfect transition into it, I think, because it's not over the top. Now,
Thank you.
if you,
That's what I wanted to sort of put, because I know when I read, me as a person, like I think we talked about this before, there's so many different readers out there and each to their own, but everybody has what they love or what they don't love. And it doesn't mean you don't like the book or the story. Where I know that if I read something that has a lot of sex in it, I tend to skip, fast read or skip over it and get to the story sort of thing. I want that, and I want to hear it and see it, and I want to know that they've got that involvement. But me as a reader, when it goes on and on and on, I tend to just go, oh, I'll get to the point and go to the next part. And it's not anything bad to the author or anything. It's just me. I just want to go to the next point once I
yeah,
know that, all right, you've done that. Let's do this.
like when some authors that write so descriptive the room, and I love good descriptions of the world because I'm one of the visual people. Like I create that world in my head and I'm like walking through it as we're doing it. So I don't know that I necessarily see myself as the main character like some people do.
Yeah.
But I definitely feel like I'm maybe an astral projection in this world, walking
Yeah.
through and seeing all the things happening as I'm reading.
I
Right.
have. I did get a comment from somebody once, which actually I wanted that feel, but I didn't know if I actually gave that feel. And she sort of said to me, "You create a world where I'm wondering what they're up to all the time. Like I might have put the book down, but I'm still back at them going, oh, what's Drew doing, or what's Bullet up to, or what's Knight doing? He's such an idiot."
Yeah.
So I wanted that. I wanted them to feel part of that family. And I didn't know if I portrayed it, but having a few of those comments come back at me, I'm like, oh, I did portray that.
You did like you did a really good job of making us understand and feel like we could be a part of this motorcycle club. Like that we could, they kind of do feel a little bit like family when you're reading it. Like you want to, and so you're learning about them, but you're also feeling like you're hearing stories of like, you know, people that
Yeah.
like you're learning their history or something. Like it's so you get really you do get for all the non-coziness that your book is and all the crazy crap that happens in your book, you do feel really close to the characters and kind of that cozy closeness with them.
That's
Um,
why I came up with the tagline. I came up with the tagline for myself, Love Blooms in the Shadows, because I felt that really, I
yeah,
suppose, is me. Like it's what I like to write.
and you really get that. I felt it a lot in the prologue with Cobra.
Yeah.
And you feel it a lot I feel it more with Bullet than I do with Drew, but that's probably because Drew was like the love interest character. And so, he's so focused on Stacia that, but Bullet has a little bit wider perspective, even though he's very clearly focused on Sophie. Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
but he seems to have a broader perspective of all the things.
Yeah.
So, um, She did get it. Okay. Sometimes she doesn't hear her phone ring, so. Um, we have it's such a great, I don't know, I really, really love the books. I had so much fun reading it. Um, and I'm so looking forward to more. I'm looking forward to the fourth book, and I haven't even gotten to the second book yet. Um,
I'm actually like as I've learned, obviously your writing journey changes with each book. My line editor actually sent me this message and it really hit my heart in a good way. She was like, I've loved being your line editor through this journey. She goes, your growth is huge. And I was like, oh wow, that's like really cool. So, and she's like, I can't wait to do book four. She's and to be honest, like book three was my absolute favorite because it's Crip and Mirror, and their story started in book one, as you would know.
yeah,
And watching them evolve in book three, that was my, and I thought Crip was going to be my ultimate man, but man, book four has taken it to a whole nother level. And I said to my PA, oh my God, I'm so in love with this book. But I've brought a lot of culture into this book because the main character is Samoan. And I've brought a lot of culture, which is my life,
yeah,
into book four. So, and I've had my cousin-in-law really help me with the cultural side, even though I know the cultural side because I've lived it for 30 years with my husband, and we do sort of put the kids through a lot, but it's hard because it's a mixed bag with culture with my side and his side. But I've said to her, I really want you to go over some of the sides of him because I want that cultural strong. And she said, I've written it well, but there's a few things that she said, oh, she's going to sort of fix for me, which I'm really excited about. But the actual character, God, and I've given it to my PA to do some reading on it. And she's like eating it. She's like, I can't put this down. Send me more, send me more. So, and I've not had that feeling before, so it's really cool, and it's probably one of the best books
yeah. I'm
I've read.
excited for you. I'm excited for your editor. I'm excited. I'm just excited for all of the things right now. There's so many good things, and starting this journey of it. Murphy, settle. Come here. I'm sorry, Murphy.
That's okay.
Up. Lay down. Lay down. Good boy. The people behind us in my grandma's backyard back there, sorry, um, are working on their house. And
Oh
so
yeah,
they pull out the saw and he goes crazy. Um,
yeah.
so, um, so you have so many good things happening and so many good things going on, and I'm so excited for you. And starting this journey of doing these indie author interviews, I have met some of the most incredible people, and I can't sing enough praises for the people that I've met and talked to and the journeys that they've gone through. And that really is my favorite part of talking to you guys, is learning your journey and what got you started and what are the things that are hard for you and how do you get through that, and what part of the books have you written include your life, and where did you draw that inspiration from. And it's so much fun and it's so amazing. And I try to make sure I read at least one piece of work from each author I've done an interview for. And all it does is make my TBR incredibly long, and because now I have all these other books that I want to read.
Yeah.
And I've just, like, there's been so much enrichment in my life in talking to you guys and getting to know you guys and your stories and the things that you do and come up with. And I just am so excited for you and for all the things that are happening and going for you right now, because it's like, can I live vicariously through you guys right now?
I believe, like, actually, Gigi and I were talking about this not long ago. She brought it up in an interview, and then we brought it up on one of our lives. Um, you need to do something for you. I spoke with you about this earlier before the
Yeah.
interview started, and it was I spent a lot of time. As I said before, I have a daughter with a disability, and I have my other two boys, and it wasn't an easy. My husband worked away. I was like a single mum, um, bringing them up, and then all the doctors and stuff that my daughter had to see all the time. The routine was crazy. My sons, I tried to also give to my sons. So my oldest son did horses, and my younger son was state basketball and rugby, and I wanted to make sure they got to everywhere they needed to be. And um, it was hard living when it's just you doing sort of all the work. And then my daughter had OT, speech, hydrotherapy, physical therapy, all of that sort of stuff on an everyday basis. So, and I had to drive an hour to get to that every day, and then an hour home, and then sort out school and all the rest of it. So it was really, really hard. So giving so much of yourself every day to your kids, to your family, which you do, you're a mum, you don't complain, you go through with it.
Yeah.
And then working in the disability sector as well, you give a lot because families, they don't mean to lean, they lean, and you can't help them unless they do lean. So I have that side of things as well, and I never had anything for me. So the writing side of things became me, and it was my time and my thing. And it's really like given me, I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's given me growth I didn't know I needed. And it's given me stability, and it's given me a love again, like an earning to do something and to be proud of. And I think everybody needs something for them. Like it's something that I really encourage people to endow and discover what is that for you, because if you have that, you can grow.
Yeah. And I'm really glad that you discovered the writing because your story was incredible. It was so much fun to read. I love the characters. I'm looking forward to learning more about them. I'm so excited. I think I'm more excited to learn more about Kata, especially now that I know the inspiration behind including her in the book. Um, so like I'm super excited about learning more about her and seeing her grow and seeing that development happen. Um, because I love how inclusive authors are starting to be with people with disabilities and different things, and how it's starting to become more prevalent. And I think it's so important that we're seeing more of that just seem normal and feel normal in books. And, you know, I, my worst is I have ADHD, autism, OCD stuff. So, like there's stuff there, but it's not as bad as other people's, and we all, but just the fact that people are, starting to feel comfortable including that in more mainstream stuff. And I have noticed I've seen it entering more mainstream things, but I see it a lot more in indie author books than I do in any mainstream book. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of that is because, they don't realize that maybe publishers don't realize how much people actually want it. And
Mm.
so they think it's not going to sell, or I'm not really sure. But
Yeah. Probably scared also of backlash or something that's not conceived as proper or well written or what. But when you're telling something, I'm a big believer when you're telling something from your own point of view because you've lived it or you've been a part of it and you've researched it. I think it's very hard for an author to portray somebody with a disability if they've never been around it, because there's that levelness of probably getting it wrong, and people judge. Um, but when you've lived it, and I was very, because I went through this period of going, what if they look at it this way? What if people look at it that way? And then I thought, no, this is my experience. I'm putting it through, and I can come back at people with my own experience. And it's not about people. People shouldn't judge it. They should say, I haven't written her for people to feel sorry for her. I've written her because she is, you'll see that she's a powerhouse. She actually has her own identity in this, and I think that's what people miss with people with disabilities is that they do have their own identity. Just take the time to learn to know them.
Yeah. And you definitely don't feel sorry for Kata. You know,
Mm.
at least I didn't. There wasn't any kind of anything that you indicated where she was, suffering because of the disability or anything like that. Like the worst thing was she had a hard time making friends and connecting with the kids at school. And I'm sitting there like, who didn't? You know, that's something that at some point we all experience. And so, but I really enjoy learning more about these. And when I see certain things come up in books, I like to take the time to go learn a little bit more about it. And by no means am I trying to become an expert, but like, oh, like I didn't know that was a thing. What else happens with this, or what else happens with that? And um I also just because I used to be fluent in sign language, and I grew up with people that were deaf. When I see it in books, I get really excited. And it's probably one of the reasons I'm also like, even though I'm not necessarily signing, I'm always doing this, and I'm always, and my face
I,
is very exaggerated when I talk. And a
I
lot
sign
of,
for a lot. Yeah, so I hear you, and you do, and you sometimes you sign without realizing, or you use your hands more because you do sign, and sometimes I'm signing exactly what I'm saying, and then I'm like, "Oh, stop using your hands. You don't need your hands right now."
yeah. And so, while I'm not deaf, I've um developed that because I used it for so long, and I really do need to go back and relearn it and um kind of get back into it because it's such a beautiful language. And so, seeing deaf people in books, and she was really young in this book, so that I don't recall a lot of the signing and things happening.
Yeah, so
But
in book two it evolves because a beautiful thing that had happened through book two is I'll say this part. Um, the club realized that she was going to be deaf, but Sophie was taken, and I'm not going to tell you for how long. But while she was taken, the club made sure they learnt sign language, so when they found her, they could talk to her. So, and they found it worked on their trips, so they could sign to each other on the bikes. Now, I got that information. How I learnt that information was that I did Auslan, was going to get my diploma to be an interpreter, and I had to go through certain certificates to get there. And through getting to know the deaf culture is what I learned, that it's in America. You guys have an island. I think Jaws was filmed there from memory. I can't remember the island. But a lot of the deaf, going years and years back, that's where the deaf were put. Like they were put on this island,
I
and
don't
they
know
own.
the name of it, but I remember that.
Yeah, so and they signed, but they were all people that worked on boats, and they could sign from far away to get what they needed to communicate, and that's where that image came from with the guys on the bikes. It's sort of like I was like I could utilize that here, so yeah, so it was something that I sort of put into play.
Yeah. Um, I do remember like teaching a couple of my friends in school sign language, and we would sign under the desk, and because it's so like it's one of those things. It's a language that was developed for people with a disability to be able to speak, but even if we're not deaf, the use of it, being
I mean,
able to
I don't.
sign from across the room and communicate from across the room without having to talk or scream or yell, and,
Yeah.
and still
I'm,
have
I'm in the
understanding.
I'm in the petrol I know you guys call it gas station. We say petrol station or servo here. Um, I'm in the petrol station and you can buy coffee or chocolate or whatever, and I'll sign to the card to my daughter and say who wants coffee, who wants chips, who wants chocolate. And my husband always goes to my daughter, "What is she saying?" And she goes, "You want coffee, chips?" And then she'll sign back, "Dad wants this, you know, Jesse wants this, Chaz wants this." So I know who wants what, and I get it, and I go and buy it, and I don't have to race back to the car. I can just see her signs through the window and know what to get, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a great thing. Like it's actually quite.
Like it's handy. It's super handy to be able, and well, and like audiobooks and things like that for people that have a difficult time reading, who have dyslexia or something like that. Like it's amazing for them, but they're so useful for everybody, because I can still read the books and I can read more of the content and do things while I'm having to do these other things, and while I have these added responsibilities. Well, my goodness. Um, and then even like, so like the ramp that we had to put in for my grandma because she has to be in the wheelchair. Like, you know how much easier it was to get the furniture in the house?
Yeah.
Move the furniture out when we had to change things around and get the bed and change out the beds and things. Like I could just roll it down the ramp, and so I really wish like we would realize how much like adding the inclusivity
Yeah.
for disabled can still benefit
Yeah.
able-bodied.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to find a more stable situation. He went in his kennel and my light and everything just everything is makeshift right now, but the
Yeah.
point got the interview done.
Yeah.
Point is I did it. I
Yes, it
still
is.
did it.
And you
Through
did well.
all
And
the
the dog seemed very well
all
behaved,
the
really.
turmoil, I still did it. But like how useful a lot of these things are for people who even aren't disabled.
Yeah.
And
No, it's true.
really trying, I love that um a lot of the books that I've been reading that include disabled people's kind of bring that to light a little bit. Like they're showing like we have this because of this, and like here your bikers go, oh, we can use this to communicate while we're riding.
Yeah.
Like they don't need sign language to communicate, but they found multiple uses for it.
Yeah.
And I think it's amazing to have these books that help people realize, just look at the accommodations we've made that do make things easier for everybody.
Yeah.
And be okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Normalize
It's
it. Yeah.
not, and if you don't need it or you don't like it, then that's fine. You don't have to use it. But I really love how I'm seeing more of that in books. And growing up an avid reader, you didn't always see that growing up. You didn't see that
You
included.
saw the perfect. Yeah. You only saw the perfect, not the imperfects that could be perfect.
Yeah. It's like why a lot of times reading was like watching a 1950s sitcom, you know.
I agree.
Everything was
Yeah.
I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched, and where like the problems weren't really big problems and they were kind of make-believe problems, and but other than that everything was perfect with the white picket fence and with all these weird make-believe problems. um
Yeah.
but life isn't that way, and even when we're reading a fictional book or a fantasy book, it's nice to see kind of real world problems in that,
Yeah.
because it helps give you a different perspective or a new way of looking at it and kind of wrap your head around it differently a little bit, and while
Agree.
pushing out of it.
I agree. I had a reader come to me, like my very first book event, which I expected to have nobody know me. And she came to me and she sort of said to me, she goes, I just want to say something to you. And I said, what's that? She said, you write real situations. And I went, do I? And she said,
Very
you
real.
write real. She said, I can relate. She goes, I've read so many books and I never relate to what they're talking about, but I really relate to what's in your books. And I was like, oh, I said, well, I wanted to have that approach, but I didn't know if it was that. And she said, no, it's really relatable. She said, I just want to honor you for that. And I was just like, oh, thank you. Like, that's really nice.
Hopefully not all of them were relatable, but
I think that's part of, I like to write real situations because I want people to relate to them. Doesn't mean that it's related to me. I might have seen it or I might have been
yeah.
a part of it or I might have been in the background of it, but I've utilized it in my own way
Yeah.
to bring it
Like
forward. Yeah.
the moment in book one where Stacia goes to the club for the first time and you have Kim trying to make her jealous and like that panic moment of like, what is actually happening? Am I being lied to? Type of thing. Like that felt really real. Like I could imagine being in, I've not been in that situation, but I could imagine being in that situation of like, what, like how do I get through this? And so she's right. You really do that.
Yeah.
And you have such an amazing concept, but there are a lot of trigger warnings for your book. There's a lot of dark content in your book. And
Silver lining too, though.
it's not super high on the spice level, but there is some spice in it. But the other content is very, very dark. So there is trigger warnings there. But it is very well done, and I never felt unsafe. Of course, I've not been in that type of experience. I've never been kidnapped, but
Neither have I, thank
someone
God.
who has may have to really be careful reading
Yes.
your books.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
be aware. Kidnapping is a strong theme in this book.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And so it's but they're such beautiful books, and I really wish I'd have been able to get through book 2 so I could talk about more than book 1 since you're on book 4.
I got
And
on a quick journey. It was a quick journey though. Like they've been released pretty quickly. Well, not as quickly as some authors, but like because I have a little bit more struggle. But I have released them as I've gone because the stories have just come to me straight after. And I've gone when they've gone into editing, I've gone, oh, I can't sit here and twiddle my thumbs. I need to write all this down. So I start the next story and then the same things happened here. And now I'm at the end of this book 4. There's this thing, this meme came up on Instagram, and it was about this 40-year-old sassy woman that takes no crap from nobody. Has come into my head, and I was like, oh God, that's somebody who Prez needs in his life. And this story is starting to evolve, and I'm like, oh my God, I need to write Queen of Smoke. I can't go on to Prez's life yet. I need Queen of Smoke. So yeah, it's been quite funny. Oh, my daughter's going, that's enough. Get off the computer.
yeah. Well, there is so much more I want to ask you and so much more I want to talk about. We are an hour and a half in.
Oh God. Yes.
And I have to get my grandmother dinner.
Yes, you need to go and cook. And I need to go pack. I've got to go to Albany today. So
Yeah. Oh, and I don't know how much of a drive that is, but the way you said it sounds like it might be a bit of a drive for you. Oh my God. Oh, yes, get going. And I do a week in between author interviews. So if schedules work out, we can always just have a hangout session and record it for everybody else or not. in between interviews and see, because there's just so much to talk about. Like,
Yes.
I didn't get to ask you what your favorite books were, uh, like what you read while you were writing, what you were listening to while you were writing. Like, there's so many things
I
still.
have, I'll quickly say I have two very favorite authors, and it's Nina Levine and Amo Jones. They're my two favorite.
Okay.
Um, I have others as well, like Tilly Cole as well, but the other two are my favorite authors. And reading at the moment, I think one of the fantasies I loved Iron Flame and that kickoff. I really did like
Yeah,
that.
my
Um,
husband and I read those together. So
yeah,
they're
they
a
are
lot of fun.
really,
And I love her underlying theme of the fact that it only takes a generation for history to be altered and forgotten and changed.
yes.
And so many people focus on the smut in that book that I'm not sure they truly understood that. Like when I read a lot of the reviews or listen to a lot of the reviews about it and things, that I'm like, did you miss like the whole underlying current there? But
Because I hold the story more than the smart, so I love the smart in that book because I think it's just enough.
yeah,
But I loved the story in that book; it was brilliant. Yeah, and Callie Hart's one, is it Quicksilver? That's another good one that I've read lately that I
yeah,
really love.
yeah, yeah. I think that's right. I think that is on my TBR. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. Because
So
I
going,
started reading
the
all the
story's
indie
good.
author books.
Mhm. Yeah, her new one's coming out soon, which I want to read. But yeah, it's a good one.
Nice. Well, thank you for those quick little anecdotes. Thank you for joining me today and for being patient with my trying to set up an interview for a day after the time and realizing we needed to make it a different the next day.
It's fun.
But um uh, I'm telling myself when I'm done with all of the government slash medical paperwork, my brain won't be quite so putty. But I'm
You
thinking
will.
back, I'm like, my brain was probably always a little bit putty. So
I have faith in you. I think you'll find your step. You will find your step.
thank you. I have truly enjoyed this, just like I've enjoyed our previous conversation with the chapter chats that we did, and enjoy watching you and Gigi on your Instagram. And I'll put all that information on here. But thank you so much for joining us. And the I'm gonna say goodbye one last time right after I have you do this. Name your books, because we keep saying book one, book two, book three, but we haven't actually named the books. So let's go through these books we're talking about.
We have Torture to Bliss is book one. I have Illicit Roads. Oops. Illicit Roads, which is book two.
And that's Sophie and Kata's story.
This is Sophie and Keita's story. And then I have Fire and Ice, which is book three. And this is Crip and Mirror's story. And I'm working on Caged Fear, which is Tama and Izzy's story. You would remember Izzy from book one.
Yes. Oh, oh, that's, oh my God, I can't wait. It's so
She
exciting.
becomes, I'm just going to say, she becomes a powerhouse.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I love how so much to talk about, but I do need to go. But I love how Stacia, um, even though she's like getting rescued and is kind of like, but because of her story, and then going it alone for so long, she really was being as strong as she could be. And Drew was just so overprotective that she didn't always, when he was around, he never really gave her that chance to show she had a backbone. And the second he wasn't there, you saw her backbone.
Mm.
And so I have a feeling that's going to come out a little bit more. Um,
She
but
becomes more of a leader. Yeah.
yeah, so you see, you're kind of like, Drew, you're ruining it for her. Like, but I have a feeling like we're gonna see more of that come out.
Yeah.
The way that you set it up hints towards that. So I'm so excited. And again, and truthfully and finally this time, thank you so much for joining me, Sienna. I really enjoyed the talk. I really enjoyed your books. Well, book. I'm
Bless. Thank you
I'm
so
sure
much for
I'm
having
gonna
me.
enjoy the other ones, so I'm preemptively enjoying your books. Um,
I really enjoyed hearing about it. I don't often get to talk about how other people perceive it, and I've really enjoyed hearing your perspective. So thank
oh,
you.
thank you. I'm glad you found it enjoyable, and I'm so glad you were willing to talk to me about it and about your experience. And how you included the experiences with your daughter and used that to inspire Kata in the book, and how you used your life experiences to inspire your writing. And you really do get to fall in love with the characters, and I am so excited for more. I'm so excited to see what else you're going to do.
Oh,
And
you put me on a high for the rest of the day. I'm going to be like going,
at least your 4-hour drive will be easier. uh,
yeah, it will be.
and I cannot wait to have the chance to talk to you again. um
Not either.
I super look forward to that. Maybe when things even out, I'll be able to be like, here's the new indie authors, and here's the ones I've talked to before that we didn't get to talk about the stuff we wanted to. So, you get going on your drive. I'm gonna get grandma fed, and I will hopefully talk to you again soon, at least through, Messenger and things like that. I would love to keep up correspondence with you, and um, just thank you so much for everything and for putting yourself out there and bringing us your stories.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, you too.